I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about my game, um, what I designed, how I designed it. First, I designed it for Windows, but then I converted it to Android, right? So when you play my game, there's this screen that asks you, and then you start. So this is interesting, right? You're playing my game now. What's interesting is that in Unreal Engine, this, well, of course, I made this environment. This environment is not Unreal Engine, you know, local. I had to make it. But basically, in Unreal Engine, you get a character. The character is not like this. Oops, my game started, and you can hear it. The character is basically what happens with the character is let me just run this again. What happens with the character is that you when you start a game level, the character is this silvery sort of Android thing. So the first thing I did is this character is a mixamo character, right? So when I run around, these are mixamo animations. This is not an Unreal Engine native character. This is a mixamo character, and this is, you know, this background. This background is, of course, again, it's I made it myself, right? And the thing is that it's not very pretty because I made this for Android, right? And now the other thing is that when I made this for Windows, this character you see, she was a beautiful metahuman, but you can't really use, you shouldn't really use, maybe you can use metahumans in Android, but you shouldn't use it because of the file size and the fact that the fact that it takes a huge amount of processing power to run a metahuman, whereas mixamo characters are super cheap. They don't take a lot of file size, and by the same token, by the same token, they don't need a huge amount of processing power. Now the thing is that, you know, this guy is asking for help. That's my game, but as you can see, I can easily run around, and this is not a big deal. This is part of what you get when you unbox Unreal Engine. You have this ability to move your character and jump and everything. I'm talking about this because if you do this in Unity, you won't be able to have this. In Unity, you would have to work so hard to get to this point, whereas in Unreal Engine, and a beautiful Unreal Engine, this is given to you. Like there is no, you know, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to create anything. Of course, as I said, what I did, I created. This is a mixamo character and the animations. So, you know, this is simple stuff, right? You know, there is no coding here, right? I didn't code any of this. This is all part of the engine, right? When the guy shouts for help, of course, I programmed that. But other than that, running around is not, right? So that I didn't have to code that. So now when you go here, what this is actually a sequencer. And then what you have here, this is a widget, right? This is a widget, a user widget with text. You know, man has fallen, back quicksand, you want to help him. and you can say yes or no, and then you see these buttons are huge. Again, this is because this is made for the phone. This is not for a nice Windows thing. This is for a phone, so these buttons have to be huge. And then you say yes, and this is another sequencer. So, and then you game over because you lose. And then this is another widget that is run, and then, you know, then you can say yes or no, do you want to play again? This is a game over. Then you say no, and then it's like, are you sure you don't want to save him? So what this is interesting, because right now what you have is a widget that is overriding another widget, and this is something that I had to work really hard to figure out how this system works. It wasn't easy at all, right? And so you don't want to save him, you just need to look. So I just say, you know, do you want to play again? And I'm like, no. Okay. So then finally I can quit. And that's it. So let's talk about a little bit about the programming of this. I mean, of course, as I said, running around in my environment, like for example this here. This is a quicksand thing, right? I created quicksand. Now I didn't know how to do quicksand, and to do quicksand, what this is actually a plane, right? It's a plane. Okay, so if I turn this off, a quicksand off, so you see what I did, I put a body of water. You can easily, you know, water is a plugin that you can add. Then you can change the water color to anything you like. Then to make a quicksand, I put that body of water, that I call that quicksand, but it's actually simply just a texture of the texture of sand, right? Nothing really special about it. It's the texture of sand, but I put it on the water, kind of colliding with water, and what that does, it creates sort of the illusion of quicksand. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not perfect or anything, but it's something. So let's talk about the coding of this a little bit, right? So, you know, it's a very simple game. It's just, and these trees, as I said in another video, these trees are super light and super lo-fi. I bought these for like, I don't know, $5 or something, and they look pretty good for something which is super lo-fi. Because, you know, when you use mega scans or something, and from the, you know, from the Epic Store, mega scans or can be free or whatever, and those literally are gigabytes. These are like a few hundred bytes or a few megabytes or something. They are, and your phone completely easily can handle that, right? Really easily. There is no problem. So as I said, let's talk about the code, right? Now the thing is, if you look here, these are all my little folders, and I have a you know, I have a game asset folder here, and then I have a blueprints folder. And as you see, I have very few blueprints. But fact is that these blueprints are not running my game at all. So there's one of them that is super important, and that's this widget. Which one is it? It's one of these widgets. But the rest are not that important. All my code lives inside my it's all inside third person blueprint, right? It's, where is that? So okay, this is it. Okay, this one, when you open this up, this has all my code. Everything is under the, this is the most important code that my program, my game uses, right? And it's all under blueprint, third person character. I actually talked about this in one of my earlier videos. The reason for this, and this is something that I learned the hard way, but the reason for this is because one of the most important and difficult things to do, or complicated or tricky things to do when you're playing and working with Unreal Engine, is blueprint to blueprint communication. And blueprint to blueprint communication, I tried all kinds of tricks, all types of things. I don't even remember all the stuff I did, but it was so much that I did. So many things I tried. And none of them really worked well except casting. Casting is the easiest way for one blueprint to talk to another blueprint. But the problem with that is that when you cast, and right now, so right now you don't see any casting in here. Why? Because everything is already here, right? So you're not casting inside here. But if you go to my blueprints, right? If you go to my content, and let's say this here, this yes no pop-up widget blueprint is basically the meat and potato of my system, right? So that talks to BP third person character, and everything happens between these two guys, right? And if you look at the, this is the way it looks, but if you look at the graph, you know, this is the graph. But if you look at this, everything is casting. You see, cast. Everything, now I don't have many casts. I have one cast, because that one cast goes to a switch that can go to many different places, right? Different situations in the game. So, you know, I have a degree in computer science. I understand some stuff about computing. I'm not very good at programming, but one of the most important things is that you want to make a reusable code, right? So you don't want to create a certain situation and then have another situation and have another situation and then have another situation. You don't want to have that. What you want to have is basically like this situation, right? You have one thing, and if it comes in here, if it is stick, if it is save, if it is drown, if it is left, each one of these, but if you look, everything goes to cast to be third person character. So because the object of that is simply get player character, okay? And that is the simplest things. But if I did not have everything under one roof, under cast and under BP third person character, if not everything was under one roof, and everything, and this is what I had originally, that I had, you know, under in one blueprint and then in another blueprint and then stick blueprint and then rock blueprint and then water blueprint, and it's impossible to find this object thing, right? It's absolutely impossible. I racked my brain for days until I looked at so many tutorials, and I saw what these tutorials do. I saw they're not mentioning it, but I learned through watching so many YouTube videos that everybody had all their code under this BP third person character, because it is super simple to then talk to them, right? Because you can say cast to BP third person character, so any of these pieces of code, any of these pieces of blueprint that I have here, all of them are so easily accessible because you have get player character as the object that you use for everything. Now, and one last thing before I end this video here is that this is using switch, and then that means in case, you know, the thing is stick, save, drawn, left, each one of these do a different action, right? And each action is shown here. But the thing is that to get that to work, and it's so awesome, so much fun to do that. If you go to here, I go to my blueprints, I have this thing called UIDT, and these, so if it is in case of stick, write this text, right? And if it is not, if it's an alternate text, and text and alternate text for me, I showed you like, hey, the game has ended, you know, do you want to play again? And that's the text. But the alternate text is that when you say no, I don't want to, and then that alternate text comes. And as you see, it is so easy. You can put all of these things, right? And each one of them has a different text. And so in one place, you can create all the states of your widget, right? So I know this is just a really fast video and I didn't really go through things, but maybe to summarize, to understand the importance of putting everything under one roof. All your code is under the roof of BP third person character, right? You want everything to be under BP third person character so that when you cast to it, if you want to access anything, if you want to access saving him, that is a saving him is a, you know, is a program that you're running, right? That's an executable. If you want to catch that and talk to that, all you need to do is run the saving him. It's been one of these guys, but you use it with cast third person character and by using get player character. And then also I talked to you about, you know, that what I said to you is that you want to have it, you know, using mixamo, and maybe in another video I can talk to you about mixamo and how cool mixamo is. And you know, in these videos, since I am from now on, I'm gonna really work on for Android only, because you know, unfortunately Windows is not very accessible. So because of that, you know, I basically would be working with mixamo and not do fancy schmancy things, because the fancy schmancy things don't translate well inside Android. They don't, as I said. And so let me, it's a very simple game. I'll show you a little bit more. So, you start here, and I'll show you in another video how the start and quit thing works. And you run around, right? And when you run around, as you can see, the point of the game is to save this guy, right? And I think you saw what happened the first time. It asks you if you want to, save him, and say yes, but please be aware that quicksand is deadly and you may drown yourself. And say yes, which is, this happens to you, you drown, and this is a sequencer, right? I told you this is a sequencer, and this is, this is when I showed you the thing, the data table, that in that data table, this is the first text. But when I say no, this is the alternate text. So this game over is a state that in that data table, I talked about it. Let's say, okay, fine. Look for a tool to help him. Would you like to play again? Yes. So you play again, and this is actually, you start from the same place, and I'll talk to you later about, these game state and what does game state do and how can you start, because if you remember when the game starts, for me, I didn't have, I had this thing about start and quit. But when I said, yes, restart the game, that start and quit didn't show up. And that's because I used game state. Okay, so anyways, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in another video.